Holmes sensed danger.
Sherlock Holmes had been bending over the weak microscope for a long time. At last he straightened himself with the air of a victorious commander and looked at me. "Glue, Watson," said he. "Most certainly glue. Just look at these scattered particles." I leaned over the microscope and adjusted the focus. "The hairs you see are from a tweed coat. Those shapeless gray masses are dust. On the left, there are flakes of leather, and the small brown clusters in the middle are undoubtedly glue." "Very well," I said, laughing. "I accept whatever you say, but what does it mean?" "It means something very important," he replied. "If you recall, in the Street Pancras case, the dead policeman had a hat beside him. The suspect claims the hat is not his, yet he's a picture frame manufacturer and constantly works with glue. Is this one of your cases?" "No, it belongs to my friend Marivalli of Scotland Yard. Ever since I caught that counterfeiter by observing the zinc and copper particles caught in the stitching of his sleeve, they have come to appreciate the value of the microscope." He glanced impatiently at his watch. "I was expecting a new client, but he is late. By the way, Watson, do you know anything of horse racing?" "I'm forced to. Half my salary disappears there." "Then you shall be my guide to the turf. Does the name Sir Robert Norberton mean anything to you?" "Indeed it does. He lives at Shoscombe Old Place. I know him well enough, for my former summer residence was there, and Norberton once very nearly fell within your sphere of interest." "How did that come about?" "He thrashed Sam Brewer, a well-known moneylender from Curzon Street, with a riding crop on Newmarket Heath. He very nearly killed the man." "That is interesting. Does he often behave in such a manner?" "He is known as a dangerous man, one of the finest riders in England. He came second in the Grand National a few years ago, a man born in the wrong age. Had he lived in earlier times, he might have been a valiant warrior, a boxer, an athlete, a gambler, and a man to win the hearts of noble ladies. But now he is a ruined fellow and may never recover himself." "Excellent, Watson. Admirably summarized. I feel as though I know the man already. Now, can you tell me something about Shoscombe Old Place?" "Only that it lies in the center of the Shoscombe estate, and that the famous Shoscombe stables and training grounds are there. The head trainer is named John Mason," said Holmes, "which is hardly surprising, since I am now opening a letter from him. But tell me more about Shoscombe. I believe I have struck a rich vein." "There are also the Shoscombe Spaniels," said I. "They appear at every dog show. The most valuable breed in England, and the pride of the lady of Shoscombe Old Place." "You refer, no doubt, to Sir Robert Norberton's wife." "Sir Robert has never married. Hardly likely in his present condition. He lives with his widowed sister, Lady Beatrice Falder." "You mean the lady lives with him, surely?" No. The estate belonged to her late husband, Sir James. Norberton has no claim upon it. Lady Beatrice Falder holds it for life. Upon her death, it will pass to her husband's brother. The income from the estate is presently hers." "And I presume the rents you mention are spent by her brother Robert?" "More or less. The man is incorrigible, and I am certain he makes his sister's life miserable. Yet I have heard that she is deeply attached to him despite everything." "May I ask why you are so interested in Shoscombe?" "I am attempting to discover that myself, and I imagine our visitor will provide the explanation." The door opened, and the servant ushered in a tall, clean-shaven man with a stern expression characteristic of one accustomed to handling horses and grooms. There were many such under Mr. Mason's command, and the man was well suited to the role. He bowed gravely to us and seated himself in the chair indicated by Holmes. "You received my note, Mr. Holmes?" "Yes, but you told me nothing in it. The matter is extremely delicate, and I preferred not to commit details to paper. It is also rather complicated. I thought it best to speak face to face. Then we are at your service. First, I must say that I believe my employer, Sir Robert, has gone mad." Holmes frowned. "Then you have come to the wrong address, for this is Baker Street, not Harley Street." "Why do you say that?" "When a man does one or two strange things, you may suppose there is some reasonable explanation. But when everything he does is strange, you begin to wonder. I believe he's obsessed with Shoscombe Prince and the Derby." "You mean the horse you ride?" "The finest horse in England, Mr. Holmes. I will speak plainly, since I know you are honorable gentlemen and that nothing we say will leave this room. Sir Robert must win the Derby. He is up to his neck in debt, and this is his last chance. He has staked everything he owns and everything he could borrow upon this horse, and at very tempting odds. The betting now stands at 40-1, though it opened at 100-1. If the horse is so good, how can that be possible? The public does not know how good the horse truly is. Sir Robert is too shrewd to leave matters to tipsters. He runs the prince's half-brother on the training track. It is impossible to tell the two apart, yet once they begin to gallop, the prince leaves the other by 2 lengths within 200 yards. Sir Robert thinks of nothing but the horse. His life revolves entirely around it. He allows no one near the animal. If the prince fails to win, Sir Robert is ruined. He seems to be playing a most dangerous game. But how did you conclude that he has gone mad? One has only to look at him. I do not believe he sleeps at night. He spends all his time in the stables. His eyes are constantly darting in their sockets. His nerves can no longer bear the strain. And then there is his behavior toward Lady Beatrice. Indeed, what of it? They were always on the best of terms. Their tastes were alike. Lady Beatrice loved horses as much as her brother did. She would come every day at the same hour to see them. And above all, she was devoted to the prince. Whenever the horse heard the sound of her carriage wheels, he would prick up his ears. Each morning he would walk up to her carriage to receive his lump of sugar. But all that has ceased. Why so? It appears that Lady Beatrice no longer takes any interest in the horses at all. For a week now, she has not even offered a good morning as she passes the stables. Do you suppose they have quarreled? It must have been a most bitter and hurtful quarrel. Otherwise, why should Sir Robert send away the spaniel which Lady Beatrice loved as a child? 3 days ago, he gave the dog to old Barnes, the landlord of the Green Dragon Inn at Crindal, 5 miles away. That is certainly very curious. With Lady Beatrice in such poor health, her heart weak and her body swollen with dropsy, she cannot do without her brother. Sir Robert used to spend 2 hours with her every evening. He was an irreplaceable companion to her, and she allowed him great freedom. But that too has ended. Sir Robert never goes near her now. Lady Beatrice is deeply wounded by it. She sits brooding in silence. Worse still, she has taken a drink, Mr. Holmes. She drinks like a sponge. Did she drink before their quarrel? Occasionally, yes, but now she empties a bottle every evening. So the butler, Stevens, tells me. Everything has changed, Mr. Holmes. Something dreadful is happening. What can Sir Robert be doing in the crypt of that old church at night? And who is the man he meets there? Holmes began to rub his hands. Pray continue, Mr. Mason. This grows more and more interesting. The butler saw him go. It was midnight, and the rain was pouring down in torrents. The following night, I remained awake. When Sir Robert went out again, Stevens and I followed him. It was a dangerous thing to do, for had he seen us, we should have been in a sorry state. He is a violent man when angered and does not hesitate to use his fists. So we kept our distance. He made his way to the haunted crypt where another man was waiting for him. What do you mean by a haunted crypt? There's an old ruined church on the estate, so ancient that no one knows when it was built. It is the crypt beneath this church that I speak of, a dark, damp, and desolate place. No one would willingly go down there, even by day, let alone at night. Yet Sir Robert showed no fear. He is a bold man by nature, but what business could he have there at such an hour? "Just a moment," said Holmes. "You mentioned another man in the crypt. Might he not be one of your grooms or workers? Surely you have only to identify and question him." "He is no one I know." "How can you be certain?" "Because I saw him, Mr. Holmes. It was on the second night. Sir Robert passed us on his way back to the house. The moon had come out and gave a little light, so Stevens and I crouched trembling like rabbits in the bushes. We heard the other man follow behind him. We were not afraid of him, so as soon as Sir Robert had gone, we approached him as though we were merely taking a stroll in the moonlight. 'Good evening, my friend, and who might you be?' I said. He had not noticed our approach, and when he turned and looked at us over his shoulder, he seemed as though he had seen the devil himself. With a cry, he fled. He ran so swiftly that within a minute he had vanished, and we could no longer hear his footsteps. We never discovered who he was. But you saw him clearly in the moonlight, did you not?" "Yes, I would swear to his yellow face. A low fellow, without a doubt. What business could such a man have with Sir Robert?" Holmes sank into deep thought. At last he asked, "Who attends upon Lady Beatrice Falder?" "Her personal maid, Carrie Evans. She has been with her for 5 years. She is trustworthy, I presume?" Mr. Mason shifted uneasily in his seat. "Trustworthy, yes," he said at last. "But I cannot say to whom her loyalty lies." "Ah," said Holmes, "I cannot betray the secrets of the household." "Understand, Mr. Mason. The situation is already sufficiently clear. From Dr. Watson's account, Sir Robert is a dangerous man where women are concerned. Have you not considered that the quarrel between the brother and sister may have arisen from such cause? The scandal has long been known, but Lady Beatrice may not have known of it. Let us suppose she has only recently discovered it. She wishes to rid herself of this woman, but her brother refuses. In her weakened condition, she cannot enforce her will and is compelled to live under the same roof as a servant she despises. As a result, she withdraws from society, grows sullen, and takes to drink. Sir Robert, in a moment of anger, sends away her beloved spaniel. Well, does that seem a reasonable explanation?" "It seems possible," said he slowly. "Exactly, a possibility. But how are we to explain his going to the crypt of that old church at midnight? That does not fit our theory." "You are right, sir. And there is something else I cannot make sense of. Why should Sir Robert exhume a corpse?" Holmes started upright. "We only learned of it yesterday, after I wrote to you. When Sir Robert went to London, Stevens and I entered the crypt. Everything seemed normal, except that in one corner there were human remains. You informed the police, I presume?" A grim smile crossed our visitor's face. "I hardly think the police would concern themselves with it. It was only the head of a mummy and a few bones, perhaps 1,000 years old, but Stevens and I would swear they were not there before. They had been pushed into a corner and covered with a slab. Yet that corner had previously been empty. What did you do?" "We left them as they were." "You did wisely. You said Sir Robert went away yesterday. Has he returned?" "We expect him today." "When did he send his sister's dog away?" "A week ago today. The animal was barking near the old house by the well. Sir Robert was in one of his violent moods that morning, and he seized the poor creature in such a way that I thought he would kill it. He handed it over to the jockey, Sandy Bain, and told him to take it to the Green Dragon Inn and give it to old Barnes, and that he never wished to see the dog again." Holmes fell into silent thought for some time. Then he lit the oldest and foulest of his pipes. "At present, I do not clearly understand what you expect of me, Mr. Mason," said he at last. "Perhaps you will be good enough to explain yourself more fully." "I believe this will explain matters," said the man. From his pocket, he carefully unfolded a paper and produced a charred fragment of bone. Holmes examined it closely. Where did you find this? There is a furnace for the central heating in the cellar beneath Lady Beatrice's room. It had not been used for some time, but Sir Robert complained of the cold and had it lit again. One of my lads, Harvey, tends it. This morning he came to me and showed me what he had found while stirring the ashes. He did not like the look of it. Nor do I, said Holmes. What do you make of it, Watson? Though it was entirely charred, its nature was unmistakable from an anatomical standpoint. It is the upper end of a femur, said I. Precisely. Holmes's expression had grown exceedingly grave. When does the lad light the furnace? Each evening, and then he leaves it. Then anyone could come to it during the night. Yes, sir. Is there an entrance from outside? There is a door that opens to the outside, and another that leads to the staircase. Lady Beatrice's room is along the corridor at the top of those stairs. These are deep waters, Mr. Mason, deep and foul. You say Sir Robert was not at home last night? No, sir. Then he could not have burned these bones. You are right, sir. What was the name of that inn you mentioned? The Green Dragon. Is the fishing good in that part of Berkshire? A look of pained bewilderment crossed the trainer's face. It was clear he believed yet another madman had entered his already troubled life. I have heard there is trout in the mill stream and pike in Hall Lake. That will suffice. Watson and I are devoted anglers. Are we not, Watson? You may find us at the Green Dragon Inn. We shall be there tonight. I need hardly say that we do not wish to be seen with you, but a note will reach us if you send one. Should I require you, I shall have no difficulty in finding you. Once I have gone a little further into the matter, I shall communicate my conclusions. On a bright May evening, Holmes and I set out upon our journey to the remote Shoscombe, traveling first class. The rack above us was filled with rods, reels, and baskets. From a station, a short drive brought us to the old-fashioned village inn. Its sporting proprietor, Josiah Barnes, listened with enthusiasm as we outlined our plans to decimate the local fish population. Is there good pike in Hall Lake? Holmes inquired. The landlord's expression changed at once. I would not advise it, sir. You might find yourself in the lake before you know what has happened. Why so? Because of Sir Robert. He is very jealous about his trout. If you, as strangers, approach the training grounds, he will be upon you at once. You would stand no chance, sir. I understand he has a horse entered for the Derby. Yes, a fine colt. He has staked everything he possesses upon it. By the way, he added, eyeing us thoughtfully, you are not betters, I hope? No, we are merely two weary Londoners seeking the fresh air of Berkshire. Then you have come to the right place. It is well suited for rambling about. But take heed of what I have said about Sir Robert. He is a man who strikes first and speaks afterward. Keep clear of his grounds. Certainly, Mr. Barnes. Thank you for the warning. By the way, that spaniel whining in the hall is a remarkably fine animal. Of course it is. A purebred Shoscombe. There is not its equal in England. I have a fondness for dogs, said Holmes. If it is not improper, may I ask what such a creature would be worth? Beyond my means, sir. Sir Robert gave it to me, and that is why I keep it tied. The moment I let it loose, it would run straight back to the hall. When the landlord had left us, Holmes remarked, Our cards are improving, Watson. It will not be an easy game, but within a day or two we shall know black from white. In the meantime, I hear that Sir Robert is still in London. Perhaps tonight we may visit that sacred spot without fear of a beating. There are 1 or 2 points upon which I wish to be certain. Have you formed a theory, Holmes? The only thing of which I am certain is that something which occurred last week, or shortly before, has cut into the order of Shoscombe like a knife. But what was it? We may attempt to infer it from the results. The results are exceedingly complex, which is a good sign. The most difficult cases are those which are colorless and uneventful. Now let us review what we have. Sir Robert no longer visits his ailing sister, to whom he was devoted, and he sends away her beloved dog. Her dog, Watson. Does that suggest nothing to you? It suggests that Sir Robert is a vindictive man. Perhaps, or perhaps, there is another possibility. Let us consider the sequence of events since the quarrel, if indeed there was a quarrel. Lady Beatrice shuts herself up in her room, alters her habits, goes out only when accompanied by her maid, ceases even to pause by the stables to greet her favorite horse, and takes to drink. That is a fair summary of the case, is it not? Except for what happened in the crypt. That belongs to a different line of thought. We have two separate lines, and I must ask you not to confuse them. The A line concerning Lady Beatrice has an unpleasant odor about it, does it not? I cannot say that I follow you. Never mind. Now, let us consider the B line, which concerns Sir Robert. His whole mind is fixed upon winning the Derby. He has fallen into the hands of moneylenders, and his creditors may at any moment seize the stables and everything within them. He is a bold man, capable of anything. He is supported financially by his sister. His sister's maid is in league with him. We may accept these points, may we not? But what of the crypt? Ah yes, the crypt. This will be a somewhat drastic hypothesis, but we must consider every possibility. Let us suppose, for a moment, that Sir Robert has murdered his sister. Surely that is impossible, Holmes. You are right. He comes of a noble line, but among eagles one may sometimes find carrion crows. Let's suppose it to be true. Before he can flee the country, he must secure his fortune, and for that, the prince must win the Derby. Thus, he cannot leave at present. He must dispose of the body of his victim and find someone to take her place. With the assistance of a maid, this would not be difficult. The body may have been carried to the deserted crypt and secretly burned in the furnace at night. The bone we saw would then be the last remnant of the corpse. What do you say to that, Watson? If the man is as monstrous as you suppose, it might be possible. I think we may be able to shed light upon the matter tomorrow with a small experiment. Watson, until then, I suggest we play our part well, win the confidence of our host by sampling his own wine and discussing eels and trout. In the process, we may also hear some local gossip. The next morning, Holmes discovered that we had forgotten the spoon for our fishing line, and thus we were deprived of our sport for the day. About 11 o'clock, having obtained permission to take the black spaniel with us, we set out for a walk. When we reached the great gate adorned with griffin crests on either side, Holmes said, "This is the place. According to Mr. Barnes, Lady Beatrice takes her drive about this hour. The carriage will slow as it waits for the gate to be opened. I want you, Watson, to stop the driver with some question before it gathers speed again. Do not concern yourself with me. I shall conceal myself behind that bush and observe as much as I can." We had not long to wait. Within a quarter of an hour, an open yellow carriage drawn by a pair of fine horses appeared at the far end of the road. I stood carelessly swinging my fishing rod. A servant alighted and opened the gates. As the carriage slowed, I could see its occupants clearly. On the left sat a florid-faced woman with sleek hair and an insolent expression. On the right was a figure wrapped in shawls, bent and frail. This must be the old lady. As the carriage reached the main road, I raised my hand with authority and the driver pulled up. "Is Sir Robert at Shoscombe Old Place?" I asked. At that instant, Holmes sprang from his hiding place and released the spaniel. The animal bounded forward with joyful barks, but in an instant its joy turned to fury, and it seized the black skirt with its teeth. Go on, cried a harsh voice. The driver lashed the horses, and the carriage sped away, leaving Holmes and me alone by the roadside. As he fastened the leash upon the excited dog, he said, "That is enough, Watson." It first took the occupant for its mistress, but then recognized her as a stranger. Dogs do not make mistakes. The voice was a man's. I exclaimed, "Precisely. We have gained another card, Watson, but we must still play with care." Holmes had no further plans for the day, and we were at last able to use our fishing tackle in the mill stream, which provided us with trout for our supper. It was only after dinner that Holmes became animated once more. We retraced our steps to the gates of Shoscombe Old Place. A tall, dark man awaited us there. It was Mr. John Mason, the trainer we had met in Baker Street. "Good evening, gentlemen," said he. "I received your note, Mr. Holmes. Sir Robert is not yet returned, but we expect him tonight." "How far is it from the house to the church?" asked Holmes. "About 300 yards. Then we need not concern ourselves with him." "I cannot say the same for myself, Mr. Holmes. The moment he arrives, he will summon me to report on Shoscombe Prince." "I see. In that case, we shall proceed without you, Mr. Mason. Once you have shown us the church, you may leave us." There was no moon in the sky, and the darkness was absolute. Mason guided us across the grass until at last we perceived a great looming shadow before us. We had reached the church. Passing through what had once been an arched entrance, we advanced among crumbling stone walls. At the corner of the building, a steep stair led down into the crypt. Striking a match, he illuminated the foul-smelling ruin. The rough stone walls were crumbling to dust. Beneath the vaulted ceiling, lost in darkness above our heads, rows of coffins, some of stone, others of lead, lay arranged in silence. When Holmes lit his lantern, a thin tunnel of light cut through the gloom. Its beam glinted upon the decorated surfaces of the coffins. It seemed that the members of this ancient family had wished to carry their griffins and crowns with them even to the threshold of death. "You spoke of bones, Mr. Mason. Would you show them to us before you leave?" They were in that corner. As our companion stepped forward, the light fell upon his astonished face. "They are gone," said he. "I expected as much," Holmes replied with a soft chuckle. "If some of the bones have been burned, we may find traces of them in the furnace." "But why should a man wish to burn the remains of someone who died 1,000 years ago?" asked John Mason. "That is precisely what we are here to discover," said Holmes. "Our work may take some time. Pray do not let us detain you. I trust we shall have solved the matter before morning." When Mason had left us, Holmes began a careful examination of the tombs. He started with what appeared to be a Saxon sarcophagus, moved on to Norman examples, and finally reached the 18th century tombs of Sir William and Sir Dennis Falder. It was more than an hour before he came to the lead coffin near the entrance. From his sudden exclamation of satisfaction and his quick yet purposeful movements, it was clear that he had found what he sought. After examining the edges of the lid with his lens, he took a small crowbar from his pocket and forced it into the seam. With a few firm efforts, the clasps, only 2 in number, gave way with a harsh metallic sound. But before we could fully lift the lid and see what lay within, an unforeseen interruption occurred. Someone was moving above us. Judging by the firm and rapid tread, it was a man well acquainted with the place. A glow of light soon appeared upon the stair, and a moment later he stood beneath the Gothic arch, a lamp in his hand. His powerful build and harsh features made him a formidable sight. In the light of the lamp, we saw his heavy mustache and the fierce eyes with which he scanned every corner of the crypt. Before long, his gaze fixed upon Holmes and myself. "Who are you?" he thundered. "What are you doing on my property?" Receiving no answer, he advanced 2 steps, raising the stick he held in his hand. "Did you not hear me?" he shouted. "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" His hand trembled upon the stick. Instead of retreating, Holmes stepped forward. "I have a question for you as well, Sir Robert," said he in a firm voice. "What is this, and what is it doing here?" Turning, he threw back the lid of the coffin. In the lamplight, I saw that it contained a figure wrapped from head to foot in a sheet. The face distorted and discolored, with protruding nose and chin and a coarse, blotched surface, had something almost witch-like in its aspect. Sir Robert staggered backward and leaned against one of the stone tombs. "How did you discover this?" he cried. Then, recovering his harsh manner, he added, "What concern is it of yours?" "My name is Sherlock Holmes," said my friend. "You may have heard it before. Like any good citizen, I consider it my duty to assist the law. It seems to me that there are several questions which you must answer." Sir Robert stood silent for a moment, but Holmes's calm voice and assured manner had begun to take effect. "God is my witness that I have done no wrong, Mr. Holmes," said he. "It may appear otherwise, but I had no choice." "I hope that is so," replied Holmes, "but I fear you will have to make your explanation to the police." Sir Robert shrugged his broad shoulders. "If that must be, so be it. If you will come with me to the house, you shall see for yourselves what has occurred." 15 minutes later, we found ourselves in what appeared to be the gun room of the old house, judging by the polished barrels displayed behind glass cases. Sir Robert left us alone for a few moments in the comfortably furnished chamber. When he returned, he brought 2 others with him. One was the bold-faced woman we had seen in the carriage. The other was a small, rat-faced man whose manner inspired little confidence. From their expressions of surprise, it was evident that Sir Robert had not informed them of recent developments. Indicating them with his hand, Sir Robert said, "These are Mr. and Mrs. Norlett. Mrs. Norlett, formerly Miss Evans, has for years been my sister's maid and confidant. I have brought them here because I wish to explain the true situation to you, and they alone can confirm the truth of what I say." "Is this wise, Sir Robert?" cried the woman. "Have you considered it?" "I accept no responsibility," said her husband. Sir Robert cast them a proud glance. "I take full responsibility," said he. "You shall now hear everything plainly, Mr. Holmes. Judging by where I found you, already know a great deal. You are aware that my black horse is entered for the Derby, and that my entire future depends upon that race. If he wins, all will be well, but if he loses—" He paused, and his face darkened. "I dare not even think of it." "I understand your position," said Holmes. "My livelihood depends entirely upon my sister, Lady Beatrice. However, her rights to the estate pass, upon her death, to her husband's brother. Meanwhile, I am neck-deep in debt to moneylenders. I know very well that the moment my sister dies, they will swoop down upon me like vultures. They will take everything, my stables, my horses, everything. Yes, Mr. Holmes, my sister died last week, and you told no one. What else could I do? Had I told the truth, I should have been ruined. But if I could hold out for 3 weeks, all might yet be well. The husband of my sister's maid, this man here, is an actor. I thought he might impersonate my sister for a short time. All that was required was for him to appear once a day in the carriage, for no one entered her room except the maid. Thus, my plan was not difficult to carry out. My sister had long suffered for dropsy. It was that which caused her death. That is for the coroner to determine. Her doctor had closely observed her condition. He will say that such an end was to be expected. What did you do next? I cannot leave the body in her room. On the night of her death, Norlett and I carried it to the disused old house near the well. But my sister's spaniel would not leave us and kept barking at the door. It was clear we needed a safer place. First, I got rid of the dog, and then we moved the body to the crypt of the ruined church. We showed no disrespect to my sister's remains. I do not believe we did anything wrong, Mr. Holmes. In my opinion, your actions are far from excusable, Sir Robert. Sir Robert shook his head impatiently. "It is easy to preach," said he. "You might think differently in my position. I was not prepared to sit idly by while all my hopes and plans were shattered. I decided that it would do no harm to place my sister's body for a few days in one of the coffins in that sacred place where her husband's ancestors lie. We opened one of the coffins and removed its occupant, and, as you have seen, placed my sister within it. As for the remains we found there, we could not leave them lying about in the crypt. Norlet and I carried them away. He burned the bones at night in the furnace of the central heating. That is my story, Mr. Holmes. Though I confess, I do not understand how you came to know enough to force this confession from me." Holmes sat in silence for some time, deep in thought. At last he spoke. "There is one flaw in your account, Sir Robert. Even if your creditors had seized your estate, the money you had placed upon the race, and therefore your hopes for the future, would still have been secure. The horse is part of the estate. Do you think they would have cared about my wagers? They would likely not even have allowed the horse to run. My greatest creditor is, unfortunately, my worst enemy, Sam Brewer. I was compelled to thrash the scoundrel once on Newmarket Heath. Do you think he would have spared me?" "Very well, Sir Robert," said Holmes, rising to his feet. "This matter must be reported to the police. It is my duty to bring the truth to light, but beyond that I cannot interfere. It would not be proper for me to pass judgment on the moral aspect of your actions. It is nearing midnight. Watson, I think we had best return to our modest quarters. It is well known that this singular affair ended far more happily for Sir Robert than he deserved. Shoscombe Prince won the Derby, bringing his owner a net sum of £80,000. The creditors refrained from troubling him until after the race. Even after settling all his debts, Sir Robert was left with enough to ensure a comfortable life for the remainder of his days. The police and magistrate treated the matter with considerable leniency, and Sir Robert escaped with little more than a mild reprimand for failing to report Lady Beatrice's death in due time. It would seem that he is destined to enjoy the pleasures of life for many years yet, untroubled by the shadow of this remarkable episode.